who's going to take care of him when I'm gone? Who can take care of him like I can? Hello everyone and welcome back to Rolling with Autism. Today we're going to be talking about something that I get asked about quite a bit, and it is a very sensitive subject for not only me, but so many parents out there. So bear with me if I get emotional. We're going to be talking today about what Addison's future looks like to us personally. We have done a ton of planning for Addison's future already, and I cannot stress that enough. It is never too early to start prepping for your child's future. We don't know what Addison's future is going to look like, but we are preparing as much as possible so that in the, heaven forbid, the case that something happens to me, what's going to happen? I need to have that plan in place. And I have had many nights where I stay up and I cry because, Addison doesn't have any siblings. And, who's going to take care of him when I'm gone? Who can take care of him like I can? So where to start? First off, let's start at our current home. Addison was very fortunate to have a grandfather who loved him dearly, and unfortunately he passed away about 5 years ago. But in his passing, he left a sizable inheritance for Addison, which we were able to turn around and purchase our home with. So Addison, regardless, and that was in the will. Addison, the money was to be used to purchase a home so that Addison would forever have a home. No one could ever take it away from him. So, done that. We do not plan on staying in this home, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But for now, if something was to happen within the next year, Addison would have a home. This is his home. It's absolutely his. So, same with our cars. All cars are paid for in full. They are an investment for Addison. In our will, it states that it is to be used for Addison's care or sold so money can be put into a trust for him. We do not see Addison staying in this home. We see him potentially going into an inclusive group home. And by inclusive, I mean that there are neurotypical as well as developmental differences all in one. And I'm working with quite a bit, a few other mothers in our area to see about starting up a nonprofit for something like that here in our area, because we don't have anything. There are many popping up lately. All around us. There's one in Texas. There's a few in Colorado. There's a couple of wonderful ones up in Washington State. So we've been keeping our eye out on those because most of them, of course, you may know, have a very long wait list. But we would prefer to stay in our area, so that's something we have in the works, to see what we can't develop for our children here in this area. But I'll talk more on that, in a later video. Another thing that was really hard for me was because Addison does not have siblings, and his father has not remarried. One of the things that I was concerned about was who would check on Addison in a group home situation if I were gone. We did a lot of thinking, a lot of crying, and a lot of soul searching, and we came to the conclusion that we didn't need just a person, we needed a family. Because putting that responsibility on just one person, it's very overwhelming if you haven't done this. So I sat down with my sister-in-law and talked to her about her family adopting Addison after I'm gone and after his dad is gone, so that he would always have family. And they're wonderful, wonderful people. And they have agreed to adopt Addison once we're gone. So very fortunate for that. With that situation comes a few other things that we need to set up. We need to set up a trust, and not just a trust, a special needs trust, along with a guardianship that would transfer over and when the time comes. So far, I have been able to do my will, my living testament, and what plans I have for Addison. I have those on record. And some of you may be wondering, why a group home? And do I intend on having Addison with me as long as possible? I would love to have my child with me to the day I die. However, my body will not allow me to do that. I know when I'm 90 years old, I'm not going to be able to take care of my child. And that's really hard. And what if something happened and Addison wasn't already settled? He'd be thrown into a living situation without me that he doesn't already know. So the plan is that Addison will stay with us until the age of 25. And then we're going to look at a group home placing so that we can transition with him and make him comfortable in his living environment. So when, heaven forbid, something does happen to me, he is already settled, at least in his living situation, and not just thrust into it without his comfort person. To be there to help him acclimate to that area. So yes, I would love to keep him with me as long as possible. But in the grand scheme of things for us, and looking at it the way that we do, it would be so hard on him. To be thrust into a living situation that we weren't there to help him transition into. So to keep him with us would just be selfish, really. And again, wherever Addison ends up, group home-wise, we will be there. 100%. We will, if it's in another state, we will be moving. So regardless, he will have us as long as possible, and we will see him every day that we're able to. And another reason for the group home, Addison deserves a sense of independence in adulthood. Within the next year, we're hoping that we're able to sell our home. We're going to reinvest his money into land, and we're going to build a tiny home on it with a independent suite attached that will be specific for Addison. So he has his independence and he has his own privacy. And right now in his teen years, we think that is really important. So that's why we're talking about, hey, we need to make this transition soon. So we would be in our tiny home situation up until the age of 25. But the major investment going into the land, because right now in our area, land is happening. So, and then once he, and then once we're gone, the land can be sold and the money can be put into a trust for him. It can be rented to where he has a monthly income, other than disability income. So there's several different options that are available in securing his future. So that is so that's what we have planned for Addison. And none of it was an easy decision. And what works for us may not work for someone else. I know a lot of people are like, yes, we're going to keep him with us. There's no reason for him to go or them to go. And we respect that decision. We're just saying that this is what our plan is for Addison and what works for us. Or what we're hoping will work for us. So yeah, that's what we see as being Addison's future. He, this past year, is making leaps and bounds and so much progress. He may be in a regular neurotypical apartment taking care of himself. We don't know yet. But he may also be in a home where he shares kind of like a dorm where he just has roommates. We don't know yet. But in the near future, our plan is to build the land, do tiny homes to give Addison a sense of independence and security. And then we have our backup plan in place. And I just can't stress that enough. It is hard. It is so hard to think about. And it is so hard to plan. But it's necessary. Because you do not want to be caught in a situation where, heaven forbid, something happens to you. And then you don't know, what happens to your child? So sit down with your loved ones. Make a plan. I can't stress it enough. Get started as soon as possible. Because that will save you a lot of restless nights. Just saying. And a lot of tears. Just saying. So yeah. That's Addison's plan. That's what we see his future looking like. as of right now. So I want to thank you guys for being part of our family here and continuing to follow us. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to our family. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. We post at least once a week. We're a little late this week. And we will see you next time.